we start in Nigeria. The country's central bank plans to sell about $100 million at a special wholesale spot and forwards auction. Now, the regulator is taking this step to further intervene to improve dollar liquidity in the foreign exchange market and, of course, curb pressure on the local currency. Now, the bank said the dollar auction would be settled within the next 60 days. Africa's biggest economy shrank by 1.5% in 2016 in its first recession in 25 years. It was hit by a shortage of hard currency and lower revenue from its dominant oil sector as world crude prices remained under pressure. Now, the central bank has been intervening on the official market to try to narrow the gap between the official, interbank and black markets. It has sold around $4 billion since February, but analysts doubt that this pace can be sustained. Well, let's get more on this. Deji Badmus now joins us in Lagos with some insights. Deji, welcome to the show. Now, we know CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, he did say that these interventions will be more vigorous and intense going forward, but we have to look at FX reserves. They're continually declining this month. Is this sustainable? And certainly, has it stemmed the dollar shortages in Nigeria?
Well, a lot of people have concerns that the central bank might just not have the capacity to be able to see through its resolve to continue to intervene in the forex market. But then the CBN, of course, the CBN governor has said the bank will continue to do so. You're quite right. The reserve is going down. Of course, no thanks to the massive injections we have seen from the CBN. But then we also have to look at the fact that the price of oil, too, seems to be going up gradually. And so no question at all that Nigeria would be earning more from oil. And we also know that there are projections that by June, Nigeria should be doing something around 2 million barrels of oil per day in terms of production. So the projection going forward, I would say, looks good. Well, the central bank might not be bothered because the projection looks good and there's expectation that the government will earn more from oil. And now, whether the central bank would stop this at some point, we just have to wait and see. Fact is that the central bank is doing all of this because it says it is running what is called a managed float. And so maybe going forward, we might not see the central bank intervene so frequently like it has done over the past 2-3 months now, just because of that huge pent-up demand that we've had. I think probably going forward, we might see the central bank scaling down, but of course not stopping it altogether because the central bank says it is running a managed float, and once in a while we will see the bank intervene in that market. And of course, not until we begin to see foreign portfolio investors return and other sources like diaspora remittances now going up, there's just no way the central bank can stop altogether. So we will continue to have that intervention, but no question at all that the reserve, of course, will be affected and that it is going down at the moment.
Now, looking at the broader picture, Deji, GDP contracted about 0.5% in the first quarter from a year earlier. Now, this week, we did see acting President Yemi Osibanjo say that the worst days are over for the economy. That's as he presented the medium-term report. Now, what was the reaction to that report? And give me some insight into what the latest on President Buhari, which is, of course, him going back to London over health issues, the impact that is having on the economy and confidence.
Well, let me start with President Buhari. Well, what we're being told now is that the president is recovering and that he's recovering faster than expected. But of course, the presidency isn't saying much. What effect the president's absence is having on the economy is difficult to tell because the vice president has been acting in his capacity, and everyone accepts that the vice president has been doing a good job. I mean, no one disputes that. So, I mean, we've seen the vice president sign a number of executive orders now to ease, doing business in the country. he signed quite a number of executive orders to get the economy moving. And of course, we expect that in the coming days he would sign the budget. So no question at all, there's no vacuum at all created. And I don't think the absence of the president is affecting the economy at all in any way. Now, the projection going forward, everybody believes, as the vice president said, that the worst is over for the country, because I mean the last GDP results released by the Bureau of Statistics, of course, showed a marginal contraction, not the type we saw in the past. And so the general belief is that by the end of this year, of course, the CBN governor has also said that. The government too has continued to maintain that position, that by the end of this year, Nigeria will come out of recession. Things are beginning to look up, Uche, to be candid. I mean, our import bill is coming down. Rice production, local rice production is now going up. In terms of agriculture, things are looking up. So the general expectation is that, of course, by the end of this year, Nigeria will bounce back, come out of the recession, and effectively by 2018, the economy will begin to grow the way it should, and that things will return to normal. But then, these are just forecasts. We just have to wait and see. But to be candid, the projections and what we see from what we see now, we will definitely come out of the recession by the end of this year. And going into next year, everything looks good at the moment, unless, of course, we pray the price of oil doesn't come down. But then the forecast is that the price of oil will continue to go up, and, no cause for alarm, so to speak.